It's January the 4th. How does your home look today? This was our Christmas tree at the start of Christmas. At the start, well, probably got it up around the 6th of December. But how does it do? Is your home spick and span and ready for 2026? Any hands? Yes? Or hands up if you're remaining in the comfortable chaos of Christmas for a little bit longer. We are. Who still has decorations up? Decorations still? Raw, John has. And even their tree. We have, but our tree looks a bit like this now. Is that the changed one, Greg? Changed him. It's a little bit droopy. It's a little bit sad. It's just about hanging on, and there's still some gifts underneath it. Here are some of the gifts. I actually whacked them in a bag so that we could see. Willow, can you come and help me hold this bag? Yeah? It's probably bigger than you. Right, ready? Here we go. Hold that bag. We have, under the tree, or in our bag, we have, what are these?
Socks.
Socks, lots of them. They're comfortable, they're warm, they're practical, and they're Tony's. And they're yet to be worn. They're still untouched, they're yet to be worn. Okay. We have, but it's not just any old map. It says, Strumpshaw, Tinkleton and Giggleswicks, joyously busy Great British Adventure Map. So it's got lots of places. An adventure map. Where will we go? What's next? Okay, you're doing a great job there. Ooh, a calendar. All the time ahead, God willing. And at the moment, there's not much in there, but I'm sure we'll start filling it up pretty soon. And last but not least, I'm going to fall in the bag. Thank you. There are some tea towels. Now, actually, I really wanted these because this was really cute. But new tea towels ready for rolling up our sleeves and getting to work. But as yet, it's unused. Thank you, Poppet. Make sure you see someone that's got a box of after 8 minutes. So, seeing them there left under the tree made me think about how Christmas affects our whole year. And it seems that the writer of the seasonal episode of Call the Midwife thought pretty similar. They were on the same wavelength. I don't know if any of you saw it, but at the very end, it said this. Does Christmas come at the end of a year, or does it provide its turning point? And it went on to say, is this the moment where we close the door on all that is past in the months that preceded it? Or is it the time when we open our arms and say, come, we are ready, we will embrace it all? And then the carol that was fading out for the end was, oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. It's a reminder that Christmas isn't actually finished with. It isn't over. Its work is just beginning, and we can learn much from the Magi in our reading. Next slide. At Christmas, church services across the globe and in our country and in Christian families, we have done our best to declare and demonstrate that Jesus is the reason for the season. God's gift for the world, for everyone, even the lowliest shepherds, as it tells us in Luke. Christmas is our most wonderful opportunity to enthuse and explain and encourage others to engage with Jesus. It was fabulous to see our services packed over the last week or so ago. But it's also true that sometimes even we can pack the story away with the decorations and get lost in the self-focused plans for 2026. Today isn't a sermon about New Year's resolutions, but I'd just like to spend some time thinking about how the gift of Christmas is that turning point, one that calls us forward in relationship and worship throughout the year and changes everything about how we approach him in the days ahead. Greg. As we mark Epiphany, considering the Magi helps us move to the next level. We respond in worship. The original Magi understood something we've forgotten. They didn't travel thousands of miles, dangerous ones at that, to bring presents or a care package, but they came to worship. Their gifts were expressions of recognition. They were not just obligations to fulfill, something to give the host when you arrive. They saw something that the rest of the world missed, and it changed how they lived. The Magi weren't casual tourists who stumbled on Jesus. They were intellectual elite of their time. They understood that the star signaled the arrival of a king like any other. The star wasn't just unusual, it was supernatural, a divine announcement that God was doing something unprecedented. That's a big long word, isn't it? Unprecedented in human history. Think about what the journey cost them. Ancient sources say that the distance could have been 500 to 1,000 miles. At caravan pace, walking through the desert and with camels maybe, that's months of travel through hostile territory. This was not a weekend getaway. It was a life-altering pilgrimage. They came to worship. We live in an age of convenience Christianity, where our levels of commitment often depend on how easy God makes it for us. If worship fits our schedule, great. If serving requires sacrifice, we'll think about it. If following Jesus costs us something significant, well, maybe there's an easier way. But the Magi show us a different approach. Their recognition led to action. They didn't just acknowledge that Jesus was important. They restructured their lives around the truth. True recognition of Jesus means he gets the best of our time, not the leftovers. He gets our first attention in the morning, not what's left after we've scrolled through social media. He gets our fresh energy, not what we've got left after we've invested in everything else. The Magi's response in finding Jesus teaches us that authentic worship should match the worth of the one being worshipped. The word worship means to bow down and to prostrate oneself. It was the posture you took before someone of supreme authority and worth. Worship was acknowledging God's greatness through both words and deeds, including offerings that reflected his value. I don't know, can you remember what they were? Can you remember what the presents were? Can you remember, Rose? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The gifts were deeply symbolic. Gold represented kingship, acknowledging Jesus as the rightful ruler. Frankincense was used in temple worship, recognizing Jesus' deity. Myrrh was used for burial preparation, anticipating his sacrifice. These weren't random gifts picked up at the last minute at the service station. Each one was a statement about who they believed Jesus to be. Their worship was costly and meaningful. Is our worship costly, or is it left over from other priorities? We can intellectually acknowledge Jesus' worth, but do our lives reflect it? We can sing songs about his greatness, but do we live like he is optional? We claim he's our treasure, but we guard our resources, our time and our hearts. The Magi's worship cost them months of their lives and significant financial resources. What does your worship cost you? Does it cost you sleep because you choose to wake up early for prayer instead of hitting snooze? Does it cost you your convenience because you prioritise gathering with God's people over personal comfort or social events? Does it cost you resources because you give generously to support God's work? And does it cost you pride because you're willing to admit you need God? Costly worship means that we recognise that something precious should receive our precious attention. We sing about God's worth on a Sunday. Do we demonstrate it Monday through Saturday? How often do we help others recognise Jesus' worth? Through our authentic testimony about what he means to us. When someone sees the way you respond to Jesus, do they think, I want what they have? True worship takes what we believe about Jesus and makes it visible in our lives and how we live. New Year 2026, reflecting the gift. Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift. When you truly receive the gift of Jesus, his forgiveness, his love, his acceptance, his purpose for your life, it produces a gratitude that naturally overflows into giving and serving. The most natural response to receiving an incredible gift is to tell others about it. When someone gives you something that changes your life, you can't stop talking about it. You want everyone to know about the generosity you've experienced. The same should be true with the gift of Jesus, letting our gratitude flow over into everyday gifts of generosity. And I'm not telling you what your New Year's resolutions should be, but might we consider working on these principles together here in Bursledon? Be generous with your time when others need help. Be generous with your words when others need encouragement. Be generous with your money when others have financial needs. Or be generous with your forgiveness when others hurt you. Can we use 2026 to unwrap and reflect the gift of Christ for others? The best advertisement for the gospel is a life that's been transformed by it. When people see how Jesus has changed you, they become curious about Jesus himself. The Magi returned to their country by another route after encountering Jesus. That's what it says in verse 12. And it's often interpreted truly, and perhaps how it was meant, as simply avoiding Herod and keeping safe. But we can also see it as a beautiful metaphor. When you encounter Jesus, really encounter him and his love, you can't go back the same way. Can't go back the same way you came. You take a different route through life. Grateful recipients of God's indescribable gift, I think they're on here, Greg, live differently because they've been changed by grace. Give differently because they understand everything belongs to God. Love differently because they've been loved unconditionally. Serve differently because they serve from gratitude, not obligation. Hope differently because their future is secure in Christ. Wouldn't this be amazing for our community to experience? I found a fabulous quote by John Mark Comer when I was reading earlier this month. People can't live without meaning, purpose, and community. The secular world can't seem to offer that. Jesus can and does. What if the church were to come back to her call as a community radiant with the love of God? Radiant with the love of God. What would change if we truly lived as a grateful recipient of God's indescribable gift of love? This January, let's be open to Jesus transforming our hearts so completely that we never take the old route through life again. Christmas isn't over. It isn't finished with. Its work is just begun. I've got a very short poem that says, when the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among all. It's not over. Its work now begins. Amen.